What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Combat and Kick It. You already know who it is. It is your host, Bando. And I am back with a boxing episode. Because there was some dope rumors swirling around the social media sphere about a 5-on-5-esque tournament type of thing between Mexico and the USA. Talking 5 fighters from Mexico, 5 of some of the best fighters, 5 of some of the biggest names, right? To go up against 5 of some of the best fighters in the USA, some of the best fighters in the world, right? With the headliner being Canelo versus Crawford. Let's talk about this whole thing. Let's get into it. Alright, so this 5-on-5 tournament, whatever they're going to be end up calling it, if it's even a tournament, I guess not really a tournament, but it's going to have the headliner being Canelo and Crawford, the co-main event being Caleb Plant versus Munguia. Then they also rumored Shakur Stevenson possibly versus Zepeda or versus Cruz. I don't know what other fights that they have picked up on. They haven't really talked about anything else. But that is massive. That is massive. And the rumor was SoFi Stadium. But with all these rumors swirling, there's one man who is massive in the boxing game right now. And he's not even a boxer. And that's the Sheik. Over in Saudi Arabia? Abu Dhabi? One of those two. Where over in that area, right? He is just absolutely running the boxing game. He is getting some of the biggest heavyweight matchups that he can over there. He is getting just some of the biggest fights that he can over there and selling out shows. He's got all the boxing stars there. He's doing his thing. He's doing phenomenal. I mean, he got a lot of money, able to do a lot of things. So he tweeted, though, that he's interested in the whole idea of it. So when all's said and done, if they can't get this set up here in America, we might still end up being able to see it just in a different country, but still end up being able to see the same tournament, the 5-on-5, and getting to see that. Because, man, that would be some great matchups. Really good matchups. Truthfully, I feel like Plant and Munguia would be an interesting fight. I think stylistically, Munguia would pose a big threat to Caleb Plant. Just continuously pushing the pace the whole time, trying to dirty box, stay in the pocket. Obviously Caleb Plant moves a lot and stuff like that. He's good with his movement. He's got a good jab. He's got good head movement and stuff like that. But I think he can get cut off. I think he can get stopped. I think he can get slowed down, right? And I think Munguia is just a bad style for him, right? Then you talk about Canelo and Crawford. We already know between the two guys, right, that is top level boxing IQ, top level, that is the elite of the elite in boxing right now. Canelo and Crawford. Now you talk about wherever they make this matchup, whatever weight class they decide to make this matchup, right? You're talking about one of the biggest fights in boxing today. Just because you're talking about 2 pound for pound guys, right? Obviously 2 different weight classes, but 2 pound for pound guys that are close enough in weight to be able to meet somewhere. That's a huge fight. That's a huge fight. That sells out anywhere that it ends up being. If it's in America, if it's in Abu Dhabi, wherever it ends up being, it does not matter. That whole entire, the card would sell like crazy. That'd probably be one of the biggest boxing cards within the last few years, because if you really look at it, there's not many times where they stack a boxing card like this. Obviously they got the there's another tournament type thing going on between the the UK promoters right now, and they got a stacked card coming up too. And I like it. We're starting to see some stacked cards in boxing because I think they're starting to realize that you got competition when it comes to going up against the UFC. You're not going to outsell a card like UFC 300 with one main event fight. It's just not going to be enough. You're not going to get enough people to come over. It would have to be boxing specific fans to stay on that, right? But if you got someone who's just a combat sports fan like myself, and you tell me to choose between one main event of boxing and basically 5 main events in one for UFC, I'm going to end up watching the 5 main events. You know what I'm saying? That's five fights on the main card that are all main event style fights. Now, we don't always get that with boxing. So to get this opportunity now, that's pretty sweet. That is pretty sweet. So let's look up what that whole UK thing is called. The Queensberry versus Matchroom. That's the whole thing. Queensberry versus Matchroom 5-on-5. Now, obviously, they're showing that this 5-on-5 thing could be a possibility, and you can start making it and just stacking stuff, right? I don't know if this is a full card or how this is going to be, but you got tons of dope matchups on this. You got Zhilei Zhang going up against Deontay Wilder. You got Daniel Dubois going up against Filip Hrgovic. You have Hamza Shiraz, I don't even know who that is, I ain't gonna lie to you, versus Austin Williams. I know who Austin Williams is. You got Dimitri Bivol going up against Malik Zinad, which really sucks because you know what that matchup was supposed to be. It was supposed to be Bivol versus Beterbiev, and everybody wants to see that fight, but I don't even know what the situation was. Beterbiev had to pull out. I like the fact that Bivol's not, stepping away. He's still taking the fight because this is a massive card. This is really big. A lot of money on the line, I'm sure. But, I like the fact that he's taking this fight against, somebody he really doesn't have to take the fight against, Like, it's one of those things where he could have turned this down, sat back, continued to train for Bivol. They're going to end up getting it probably, I don't know, maybe around the fall, I would assume. I don't know. Let's see what Bivol's injury was. Well, let me finish naming this card off. You got Raymond Ford going up against Nick Ball, and you got Willie Hutchinson going up against Craig Richards. So you have a stacked card right there, and you cannot argue with stacked cards, right? Now, if you're talking about a stacked boxing card versus UFC 301, I'm gonna be watching that stacked boxing card all night. I think that was Munguia versus Canelo. Obviously, the card wasn't that crazy good, but there was some good fights on there, and I ended up watching that over watching UFC Brazil. If you paid attention to the live stream, I did a live stream for Munguia versus Canelo. But back to that Bivol versus Beterbiev. Let's see why Beterbiev pulled out. So, yeah, the fight is getting postponed. There's rumors for August, rumors for September. We'll see what they end up officially making it, right? But Beterbiev had to pull out from a ruptured meniscus, so that couldn't have felt too good. Obviously, you can't fight with that, so had to pull out, right? Which kind of sucks, and I feel like what happened with this, right? And this is the reason why Bivol took the fight, because the Sheik wasn't playing no games. You stack a card like that for Saudi Arabia, he's not playing no games. The Sheik was probably like, we got to still make something happen to continue and keep the 5-on-5. So they had that fill-in. But everybody knows they want to. We all want to see Bivol versus Beterbiev. It's going to be a fantastic matchup when we do eventually get it. You're talking about, like I said before, with Canelo and Crawford, two elite boxers. You have a absolute technician in Bivol with the way he boxes. He is just beautiful. I mean, obviously he has enough power to sleep somebody, right? But he's not always looking for that one punch KO. He is somebody who is outboxing for the whole fight, right? He was landing combinations on Canelo that a lot of people don't normally land because he wasn't afraid to trade and push and he controlled the pace pretty much the entire fight. So he's interesting to watch just style-wise. And then you talk about Beterbiev. Beterbiev cracks. He cracks. He hits hard. So, very interesting, right? And we haven't really seen Beterbiev boxed somebody at the level of Bivol's boxing skill, right? Yeah, of course he's fought some top boxers, right? He got a huge win over Joe Smith recently. You know, like he's fought good boxers, but somebody at the level of like I said, being a technician in there, like Bivol, Turbiev hasn't fought that yet, and this is going to be a fantastic matchup. It really is. So hopefully we get it soon. You know, hopefully he gets a quick recovery, speedy recovery, and we get that fight soon. Hopefully Bivol does what he needs to do, right? June 1st, or whenever it's supposed to be, right? He gets his job done, and they can continue pushing for Bivol Beterbiev. One thing that kills me about this whole 5-on-5 too is that Wilder has to win this fight. Like, he has to win this fight. And they already have him set up to fight in August against Jared Anderson. Yo, he's got to win this fight. One, he needs to get a knockout just to get that confidence back, to hold that behind him, the fact that he still has that. Because if he loses that, that's going to be a huge problem for Deontay Wilder. We know he's not the highest skilled level boxer or anything like that. By any means, he's not that skilled, right? He has a decent jab, not nothing that's a beautiful setup. It's decent enough for him to be able to throw that right hand, just put it in front of you, stick it out, and throw that right hand, right? But when it's not working, you saw what happened with Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker was on him, right? And if you keep Wilder on the back foot, it makes it harder for him to be able to get off those power shots. Now, obviously, we've seen him crack some people off of his back foot. So it really doesn't matter when you hit that hard. But you saw how Joseph Parker pressed him. He stayed distant. He was landing heavy shots. And Zhang's a taller dude. He's a bigger dude than Joseph Parker. But Joseph Parker got past him as well. It's an interesting fight. It's an interesting fight. I think Wilder should get it done. I think he will land the kill shot that he needs to. He always ends up landing something. He didn't against Parker, but doesn't mean he won't in this fight. I think when Wilder's fighting somebody who's tall as well, he's able to get them punches off much better. So I think he is going to end up getting the KO. Hopefully he does. Puts him back in the win column. And then you legitimately talk about him and Jared Anderson. That's how I look at it. But you don't talk about that until this fight is over. Because Zhang is no punk. No punk. But either way. Anyways. Like I said. That's it for this episode. Just a little boxing episode. You know, like I said. I'm staying active with the boxing episodes. We're keeping it pushing. We're keeping it moving. So you know what to do. Like. Comment. Subscribe. Hit the bell notification button so you know when the next episode comes out. And that's when you will see me. Your boy Bando is out. Peace.